Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Today I have a fun one, and I think I'm going to start doing some of this more, but I just think these are fun. Basically, long story short, I'm going to cover today the 3 million smart toothbrush attack that happened. So if you guys aren't familiar with this, as the title says, 3 million smart toothbrushes were reportedly hacked, resulting in a massive DDoS attack. Now, there's a lot of speculation on this. There's a lot of people understanding and things like that, but we're going to cover it all and we're going to talk about it. So hit that like button, hit that sub button. Long story short, this series that I'm going to do and see if anybody likes it, but basically I come up on, I do research all the time and I see these fun stories, right, that like are interesting, and I'm like, man, that's just interesting to me. So I wonder if it's interesting to you guys and what you guys think. So here, all I did was Google smart toothbrush attack, and we can do it again. Smart toothbrush DDoS, right? And there's all these different links. Now, you can see a lot of them, like ZDNet here. Let's see. It says 3 million, and I think that's the same one I have there. Okay, so that's the same one. We'll cover that one in a sec. 3 million malware-infected smart toothbrushes used in an attack. Okay, this is Hacker News. Okay. Is it actually? Who knows? So what's the big catch here, right? 3 million smart toothbrushes reported in the hack. Okay. So firstly, let's talk about, did this happen? A lot of people are saying it did happen. Some people are saying it didn't happen. And some people are saying, I have no idea. Did it actually happen? So this did not actually happen. Okay. I will say that. But the reason I chose it as a story, I did not click that. The reason I chose it as a story is because it's very interesting, because it can happen. And we'll talk about why. So firstly, this got actually reported on multiple news sources. And what it is you can see 3 million smart brushes, whatever. And then you can see right here with 3 million smart toothbrushes forming a botnet that can be controlled remotely. So what I decided to do to see is, number one, how did this get reported? Number two, could this happen? And number three, what's the viability? So the first thing is, how did this get reported? Well, there was actually a demonstration that showed how this could be done. That's what the initial thing that led to this is there was a demonstration that showed how this could be done and showed that it can happen. There was conversation about it can happen. And then a small company went out, and you can see right here, the hackers behind the campaign, they had them all try to access the website of a Swiss company. So if you don't understand how this works, a DDoS attack is a distributed denial of service attack, meaning all 3 million smart toothbrushes are one bot in the botnet. They all tried to access the company at the same time. So the website. So what happened is that website got 3 million requests at a time. Now, you may be saying to yourself, well, that shouldn't be a big deal. Well, for a company like Facebook or Instagram, and I know that's still Facebook, but Amazon, these websites that have millions and millions of users every single day sending traffic, that wouldn't be a big deal. But for a small website, maybe you're hosting the website yourself, a web server, and that web server doesn't have a lot of hardware. This is a big deal. We'll bring it down because there's too many requests. So that's what happened. And you can see it led to millions of damages and lost business for the unnamed Swiss company. Okay. So what they talk about here is, besides stealing credit card information, passwords, and other sensitive data, hackers often use malware to infect PCs to then become part of a botnet. Perfect. How do we protect ourselves? Well, we're going to cover this in a sec, but first we want to talk about how this got reported. So we said before that there was a demonstration, they talked about it. Okay, cool. Now, what do these look like? Now, this is just, I pulled up a couple examples, and I pulled up 2 different types of attacks that occurred. So this is just, I don't know who this person is, but he did a little quick tutorial on how he hacked into his smart toothbrush and was able to make it do some small things. Now, this one, the reason I chose these 2 is they're 2 different technologies. One is Bluetooth and one is NFC. And then there's obviously Wi-Fi. We all know Wi-Fi. So I'm not going to cover the Wi-Fi one, because if you understand these, you'll understand the Wi-Fi. But basically, you can see he captured his packets, and this is all from Bluetooth. And he went and looked, reverse engineered the Android application to see what is making this toothbrush do things. Very interestingly, if you look down here, you can see he looks at the value of the packets being sent, and he sees that 1101 is what they are sending to it. They're sending the attribute 1101. And he's like, what does that mean? And you can see 1101 turns the power or the toothbrush on. So then what's he do? He tries sending 1101 as a packet to the toothbrush, and does it turn it on? And it did. So he can control it remotely. So then from the Wireshark logs, he figured out that sending this really random text, it makes the LED blink. These may seem trivial things to you, but the reality is he is actually sending packets unbeknownst to the owner. Okay, so this is just an example of like a small little fun one, right? But if you can actually get the firmware of that toothbrush, if it's got a microchip in it, you can make it do anything you want. So he's got a demo video. I'm not really going to go over it, but all he does is send it from here, and it makes you watch the toothbrush blink. So that's one way to do it. This is NFC, same type of concept. One is near field communications, and one is one uses radio hertz and one uses Bluetooth. But you can see this guy actually realized that the head of the toothbrush is communicating with the base. Okay, so he thought, well, how can I kind of get involved in that, right? And you can see it's password protected. Here's the different things that he was able to read, and obviously read write protected. And then you can see he did it for 1 black and 2 white heads, because the heads have a microchip in them as well. And learn the following: they contain unique ID, okay, contains the link to the Philips store, so this was a Philips toothbrush, I'm assuming. And then you can see contains the total brush time. All other readable data is identical between all heads. Okay, so they do carry some unique identifiers. Okay, so he decoded it. You can see he used a Hacker RF1, and he recorded it, and then he went down, broke it out, converted it, decoded it. Okay, then he wrote to the brush. So he said, hey, I want to do some other stuff, right? And you can see before and after he actually wrote to it, he changed it. So that's pretty interesting because, again, this may seem trivial, may seem like nothing, right? But these are just two very easy. I mean, you can see this would take you 10 minutes if you followed this exact guide and had the exact equipment he did, and the other one would take you less. So in those two, there's Bluetooth and NFC. It only took him a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes after figuring it out, reverse engineering it, how to send information to it. So if it only took them a couple of minutes to do that, why would it take very long for them to reverse that? How do we make the machine or the toothbrush send data out, right? And you notice he said there was a link to the Philips store there. So it obviously can communicate with the Philips store. So if it can communicate out, it could possibly send information. Now, I use these two examples on purpose because I wanted to show different ways of hacking the smart toothbrush other than the one that we're going to talk about that actually happened. And what happened is, it's actually pretty interesting. What supposedly happened, right, is that these people were able to hack the Wi-Fi, technically. So what it was is they would have to get access to the network. They would take over a smart device on the network. This is the most common IoT attack, right? They would take over a smart device on the network. Usually this is an open Wi-Fi. If you go to like a Starbucks and they have like smart plugs and everything else, like those are all connected to the Wi-Fi. So you can actually communicate with them. So it's possible for you to hack into them, change what they do, create all kinds of chaos, etc. That's what they would have done, and they would have gotten all 3 million of these toothbrushes that were on the network, on different networks, to be able to send out packets. Okay, nothing crazy. That's not really that complex. But when that happens, what happens is this website is just getting hit with random requests. It doesn't know what to do with them. There's 3 million of them. It shuts it down, right? So it's actually a very unsophisticated attack using an out-of-the-box way of thinking is all it is, right? If you can hack the smart device, which we all know smart devices can be hacked, then you can actually do this, right? That's how easy the attack would be. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I wanted to talk about things like this. How can we prevent an attack like this? And then we're going to cover here what actually happened, okay? And what I mean is, like, we keep saying it happened, and then we're going to talk about what actually happened, okay? So here, you can't install, like it says, you cannot install antivirus on a toothbrush, but you can install stuff in front of it, right? I'm not advocating that everybody needs to go do stuff like that, because it may be out of your scope of what you can do. But you can see, instead of, it's up to the vendors to release new firmware to patch vulnerabilities. So here's where the problem lies. The problem lies with vendors. A lot of vendors are not releasing updates to smart products all the time. Why? Because they don't have to. There's not really they're not doing it for this reason, whatever. They don't have to, right? Who is like complaining that they're not getting security updates on their smart bulb in their house, right? Nobody. So they don't have to. So here they say, at the same time, you want to stick with more well-known and established brands, okay? I don't necessarily agree with that. This says you want to be careful and research any smart device. I think you should research your smart device if you're going to use them. But I don't think just because you stick with a good brand, it means that you're secure. Because well-known brands are known to completely ignore. Microsoft got in trouble years and years ago for ignoring this exact thing. They weren't giving people security updates because they didn't want to, right? They weren't fixing flaws because they didn't care. Every large company has done that. So do I think that you should just trust them because they're a large company? I don't, but up to you. It says, if the device comes from a company that doesn't routinely push out firmware updates, you may end up spending more in the long run. Very true. Okay. Likewise, if you have one of the best Wi-Fi routers, you may want to consider setting up a guest network. I don't necessarily agree with this for this attack. What I mean is, they may use the smart device to get into your network, which is what they're stating here, and pivot around and things like that. But where I don't agree is this wouldn't have prevented that attack, because that smart device still can connect to the internet. So I don't necessarily agree with that. By quarantining your smart home device, you can keep your laptop, smartphone, and other devices that contain a lot of sensitive data safe from any potential threats, which is what I'm saying. And that is true. So it's not a bad idea. I do like the idea, but it wouldn't have helped in this attack. Now, here's the big one, in my opinion. As for smart toothbrushes, you should ask yourself whether or not a device you use really needs smart functionality. This is the biggest problem I see with this, right? Is, do you need it? And I understand some of these smart devices make your life a little easier, but do you need a smart light that you can turn on with your phone? You have a light switch 6 feet from you. Get up and turn the light switch off, okay? Do you need, what other smart devices do we even have, right? Do you need a smart plug where you could turn something off with a plug? Probably not, right? They make those plugs that have timers. They make plugs that have analog remotes. They make all that stuff. Use that, right? It doesn't need to be smart. Do you need all this different smart technology? Probably not, right? How many devices do you have sitting around that you've never used in like 2 years, right? Those are still connected to the internet. Get rid of them. That's the easiest way to save yourself, because what happens is, what I typically see is, when you research them, you're like, hey, yeah, this is great. It gets security updates. Everything's awesome. And then you plug it in, you use it, whatever. A year later, that company is like, hey, we came out with the new product. We're not supporting the old one. Are you researching it all the time? Are you keeping up to date? No. And they're like, hey, end of life of that is 6 months from now. And you're not paying any attention. Now you have a smart device in your house that hasn't got security updates in who knows how long, because it's end of life, even though the reputation was good and all that, right? So just keep that in mind. Do you need it? That's a big one. Now let's cover what really happened. So sounds more like science fiction than reality, but Swiss newspaper reported that this happened, okay? The innocuous bathroom gadgets transformed into soldiers. So they're really writing this up, okay? Or did they? Here's the big one. look at the people though that did call it out. I gotta hand it to them. Bleeping Computers, Bleeping Media found it hard to credit, and now the security company Fortinet, which helped give the original story credence, is admitting that mistakes were made. So they admit, maybe we didn't do our research on this one. Okay. In a note to ZDNet, a Fortinet representative said, to clarify, the topic of toothbrushes being used for DDoS attacks was presented during an interview as an illustration of a given type of attack. And it's not based on research from Fortinet. So it was used as a demonstration, and that's what happened. It appears the narrative on this topic has been stretched to the point where hypothetical and actual scenarios are blurred. So if I had to guess, what happened is someone did this as a demonstration. Someone viewed it, thought it was cool, told some people about it. Someone thought, oh, that's cool. And someone that probably didn't really know what they were talking about saw that a small company got DDoSed, and they used this to run with. That would be my guess. There might be more people involved, more things involved, but the story claimed that the compromised toothbrushes were running Java, a popular language for IoT devices. Once infected, a global network of malicious toothbrushes supposedly launched their attack. Okay, although the story wasn't real, here's the key takeaway. The episode underlines the ever-expanding threat landscape, blah, blah, blah. Smart toothbrushes are now 10 years old. Devices that once seemed harmless and disconnected from digital systems are now potential entry points. So here's the key. Smart toothbrushes are now 10 years old. If you have a toothbrush that's 10 years old that has a smart technology in it, I hate to break it to you, that thing is not getting security updates, meaning that thing is a attack vector for anybody. So just keep that in mind when you guys are doing these things. Think, do you actually need it? Does it have to be smart? Come on. Do you need a smart doggy door or a smart camera in your house? Because I wouldn't want a camera in my house that's connected to the internet. Absolutely not. So just think of these things and tell me if you guys think these stories are fun, because I thought this one was fun because it came out. And when it came out, everyone freaked out. And then instantly all the experts were like, no, hold on. That's probably not real. And they were right. And there's a couple of reasons for it not to probably be real. In my opinion, there's a lot of red flags that would have made it. For one, this would have been a very hard attack, because you'd have to have these, in order for an attacker to do this, they would have to connect to your network or know that you have this smart toothbrush, right? This would take so long to build out this specific botnet, because you'd only be targeting toothbrushes and they're behind a network. So you'd have to find them on the network, and you're talking 3 million. It's not like just scanning for any IoT device or like a popular camera or whatever. I don't know that there's that many people with smart toothbrushes out there that would make this such an easy attack to do with 3 million. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys like this type of, like, just keeping you up to date on news, stories, things like that, talking about them, letting you know my opinions on them, or if this is something you guys would just rather read on Reddit and move on. Let me know what you guys think. This one, it was just fun to me. It was not, there's not a lot of technical aspects in this because it didn't happen, but it is interesting, and it was kind of the buzz for a couple of days. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully you guys have a great day. Thanks.